In a world ruled by fear, one girl's life intersected with a mafia empire for just 17 minutes. Yet it changed everything. Years later, she returns to face danger, protect the innocent, and confront the shadows of power. What started as a fleeting act of courage ignites a chain of events that no one could have predicted. A story of bravery, family, and the price of loyalty. The bus station smelled like diesel and old coffee. I sat on the metal bench with my backpack pressed against my chest, counting the bills in my wallet for the third time. $17. Not enough for a motel. Barely enough for food tomorrow. Around me, people moved like ghosts through the fluorescent light. Nobody looked at anyone else. That was the rule in places like this. Keep your head down. Mind your business. Survive. I had been doing that for 26 years. The man appeared from nowhere. 1 second the bench beside me was empty. The next he was there. Cologne that cost more than my rent. Gold watch catching the ugly light. A smile that made my stomach turn. Pretty girls like you shouldn't be alone at night, he said. I shifted away. I'm waiting for someone. Liar. His hand landed on my thigh. I've been watching you for 20 minutes. Nobody's coming. My body went cold. I looked around. 30 people in this station. Every single one is suddenly interested in their phones, their bags, the floor. The security guard stood by the vending machines, staring at nothing. Please leave me alone, I whispered. His grip tightened. Or what? You gonna call someone? With what phone, sweetheart? I saw you begging that cashier for Wi-Fi. He was right. I had pawned my phone 3 days ago. Paid for groceries with the money. Come on. He stood up, pulling at my arm. My car's outside. We can talk somewhere comfortable. I tried to pull away. His fingers dug into my wrist until I felt bone grinding. Panic climbed up my throat. Nobody was looking. Nobody ever looked. Then doors I didn't know existed slammed open. 6 men in black suits poured into the station like water breaking through a dam. They moved with purpose. With violence barely contained. Everyone in the station suddenly found walls to press themselves against. The man holding me froze. One of the suited men spoke into his collar. Target located. Northeast corner. Then the crowd parted. And he walked through. I knew who he was before anyone said his name. Everyone in this city knew. Alessandro Kane. The man who owned half the docks. The man whose name made lawyers sweat. The man whose face appeared in newspapers with words like alleged and suspected but never convicted. His eyes found mine. Then dropped to where the man's hand was still wrapped around my wrist. Alessandro's voice was quiet. Terrifying in its calm. Let her go. The man released my wrist like I had caught fire. Mr. Kane, I didn't know, I wasn't. His words tangled into nothing. Alessandro didn't look at him. He looked at me. His eyes were dark gray like storm clouds over water. They moved across my face. Down to the fading bruises on my arms from the moving boxes I had carried yesterday. To my worn sneakers with the sole peeling off. Are you hurt? He asked. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. No. Don't lie to me. Something about the way he said it made me look down at my wrist. Red marks, already blooming into purple. Fingerprints pressed into my skin like stamps. Alessandro's jaw tightened. He turned to the man who had grabbed me. Name. Trevor. Trevor Walsh. Look, I didn't mean anything. Address. What? Give me your address, Trevor Walsh. Or my associate will follow you home and get it himself. Trevor's face went white. He stammered out an address on the north side. Expensive area. Course. Alessandro nodded to one of his men. Make sure Mr. Walsh understands that touching women in bus stations is bad for his health. Be creative. But keep him alive. No, wait. Trevor tried to run. He made it 3 steps before 2 of the suited men caught him. They dragged him toward the back exit. His screams echoed off the tile walls until a door slammed shut. The station was silent. 40 people holding their breath. Alessandro turned back to me. You're coming with me. I can't. That wasn't a request. One of his men picked up my backpack before I could protest. Alessandro gestured toward the door. His hand didn't touch me, but something in his posture made it clear he would not let me refuse. I looked around. At the security guard who suddenly needed to check his phone. At the cashier who had refused me Wi-Fi pretending to count money. At the people who had watched Trevor grab me and done nothing. What choice did I have? I stood up. My legs shook. Alessandro noticed. His hand came up, hovering near my elbow without contact, ready to catch me if I fell. We walked through the station. The crowd melted away. A black SUV waited at the curb, engine running. The door opened before we reached it. I'd seen cars like this in movies. Bulletproof glass. Tinted windows. The kind that made you disappear. Please, I whispered. I didn't do anything wrong. Alessandro looked at me. Really looked. Like he was memorizing my face. I know, he said. That's why you're still breathing. The SUV smelled like leather and something sharper. Gun oil, maybe. I sat pressed against the door. My backpack clutched to my chest like a shield that meant nothing. Alessandro sat across from me. Close enough that our knees almost touched in the confined space. Far enough that I could breathe. He made a phone call in a language I didn't understand. Italian, I thought. Every word is precise and cold. I stared out the window. We weren't heading toward the police station. We weren't heading toward any hospital. The city blurred past, neighborhoods getting cleaner, buildings getting taller. Where are we going? My voice cracked. Somewhere safe. I don't need. Yes, you do. He ended his call. Those gray eyes fixed on me again. Trevor Walsh has 3 prior arrests for assault. 2 restraining orders. The police know him. They do nothing. My blood went cold. How do you know that? Because I had you investigate the moment you sat down on that bench. The SUV suddenly felt smaller. You were watching me. For 3 weeks. No apology in his voice. Just a fact. Every Tuesday and Friday. Same bus station. Same bench. Same routine. I couldn't breathe. 3 weeks. He had been watching me for 3 weeks while I counted change and begged for Wi-Fi and tried to pretend I wasn't one missed shift away from sleeping under a bridge. Why? The word came out like a sob. Alessandro leaned forward. His elbows on his knees. His hands clasped together. Gold rings on 3 fingers. Because you did something, he said. 4 years ago. Something you don't remember. Something I will never forget. My mind raced. 4 years ago. I was 22. Working 2 jobs. Living in a basement apartment with mold on the walls. What could I have possibly done that would matter to someone like him? I don't understand. You will. He sat back. But first you need to eat. Sleep. Stop looking like you're about to shatter. The SUV pulled up to a building I recognized from magazine covers. The Meridian Tower. 50 floors of glass and steel. Apartments that cost more per month than I had made in my entire life. I can't go in there, I said. You already are. The door opened. Alessandro stepped out. Waited. After a moment that felt like drowning, I followed. The lobby was all white marble and gold fixtures. A woman behind the desk stood up immediately when she saw Alessandro. Good evening, Mr. Kane. He didn't acknowledge her. Just walked to a private elevator that required a keycard. We stepped inside. He pressed the button for the top floor. My reflection stared back at me in the mirrored walls. Unwashed hair. Clothes from the donation bin. Face too thin. I looked exactly like what I was. Nobody. Alessandro stood beside me. His reflection was the opposite. Sharp suit. Confident posture. The kind of man who belonged in places like this. Why am I here? I whispered. The elevator doors opened directly into an apartment. Not a hallway. An apartment that took up the entire floor. Alessandro stepped out. Turned back to look at me. Because 4 years ago you saved my daughter's life, he said. And tonight, I'm returning the favor. I stood in that elevator, my hand gripping the metal railing so hard it hurt. I don't have children, I said. I've never even met your daughter. You wouldn't remember her name. Alessandro walked into the apartment. You met her for 17 minutes on a subway platform. The memory hit me like cold water. 4 years ago. The downtown station. I had been coming home from my night shift at the diner. So exhausted I could barely stand. A girl was there. 11, maybe 12. School uniform. Crying. A man had been following her. I remembered that. Remembered the way she pressed herself against the tile wall. The way he moved closer. The way everyone else on that platform suddenly found somewhere else to be. Had walked over. Put myself between them. Asked the girl if she knew him. She shook her head, tears streaming. I told the man to leave. He laughed. Called me a word that made me flinch. Then he grabbed my arm. Tried to push me aside. I hit him with my purse. Not hard. Just enough to surprise him. Enough that the girl could run. She disappeared up the stairs. The man swore at me. Threatened me. Then he left too. I sat on that platform for 20 minutes, shaking. Missed my bus. Walked home in the rain. Never told anyone. That was your daughter. My voice was barely sound. Alessandro stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city spread out below him like a kingdom. Isabella. She called me from a payphone. Told me what happened. Described you in detail. He turned. The city lights behind him made his face hard to read. I sent men to find you. Canvass the area. Check security footage. You vanished like smoke. No ID. No name. Nothing. His voice changed. Something raw in it. For 4 years I searched. Then 3 weeks ago one of my associates saw you at that bus station. Recognized you from Isabella's description. I backed up until I hit the elevator door. So you've been watching me. Protecting you. Those aren't the same thing. In my world they are. He walked closer. Not threatening. But inevitable. Like weather. Trevor Walsh wasn't the first man to bother you at that station, Alessandro said. The week before I found you, another man followed you 3 blocks before you noticed. You ran. You hid in a convenience store until he left. I remembered. The clerk had threatened to call the cops. I had bought a pack of gum I didn't want just to stay inside. How do you know that? Because I had someone there. Watching. Making sure you stayed safe until I could figure out how to approach you without scaring you. He laughed. Sharp and bitter. Clearly, I failed at that part. My legs felt weak. I slid down until I was sitting on the marble floor. This was too much. Too big. I was just trying to survive. Just trying to make it through one day and then another. Why didn't you just talk to me? Yes. Would you have believed me? No. I wouldn't have. A strange man claiming I saved his daughter 4 years ago. I would have run. I would have thought he was crazy. Or dangerous. Alessandro crouched down. Level now. Close enough that I could see the exhaustion in his face. The lines around his eyes. My daughter still has nightmares, he said. About that day. About what would have happened if you hadn't been there. She asks me sometimes if I ever found the woman who saved her. I always told her no. He paused. I don't want to lie to her anymore. Alessandro stood and offered his hand. I stared at it. Clean nails. Those gold rings. A hand that had probably done terrible things. I didn't take it. He lowered his hand without offense. You're tired. Hungry. When did you last eat? This morning. Lie. Yesterday morning. Protein bar someone left on the break room table. There's food in the kitchen. Fresh clothes in the guest room. Shower. But everything you need. For how long? What? I forced myself to stand. My knees cracked. How long am I staying here? What do you want from me? Because nothing in this world is free. Especially not from men like you. Something flickered in his eyes. Respect maybe. 3 days, he said. Give me 3 days to explain everything. To show you what I found. Then you can choose. Choose what? Whether you want my protection or not. The word hung in the air. Protection. Sounded like something out of a mob movie. Something people paid for with loyalty and blood. And if I say no? Alessandro walked to a desk by the window, pulled out an envelope, came back and held it out. Opened it. My hands were shaking. Inside was cash. More cash than I had seen in months. Maybe years. $10,000, he said. Enough to disappear. Get an apartment. Start over somewhere else. If you choose to leave, that's yours. No strings. I looked up at him. Why? Because you saved my daughter and asked for nothing. Because you've been surviving on $17 and still helped someone else. Because you're the kind of person who hits a predator with a purse to protect a stranger. His voice dropped, gentler than I thought possible. Because you remind me that not everyone in this world is broken. I held the envelope. $10,000. I could leave right now. Take this money. Get on a bus. Start over in some small town where nobody knew my name. But I looked at Alessandro Kane. This dangerous man. This criminal. And I saw something I didn't expect. Exhaustion. The same kind I saw in the mirror every morning. The kind that came from carrying too much for too long. 3 days, I heard myself say. 3 days, he agreed. A door opened behind me. A woman appeared. Mid-50s. Kind eyes. Professional clothes. This is Helena, Alessandro said. She manages the household. She'll show you to your room. Helena smiled. Warm and real. Come with me, dear. Let's get you settled. Followed her. Look back once. Alessandro stood by those windows again. Hands in his pockets. Staring out at the city like a man watching for enemies. Helena led me down a hallway lined with art I recognized from textbooks. Real art. Original paintings. She stopped at a door and pushed it open. The room was bigger than my entire apartment. Bed with white sheets. Bathroom with marble counters. Closet full of clothes in my exact size. Mr. Kane had these brought in this afternoon, Helena said. Basic necessities. If you need anything else, just press the button by the bed. Someone will come. I walked in slowly. Touched the edge of the bed. It was real. Why is he doing this? I whispered. Helena's expression softened. Because his daughter is the only good thing in his life. And you're the reason she's still alive. Left. Closed the door behind her. I stood there for a long time. Then I walked to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. Same person. Different world. I turned on the shower. Let it run hot. Stood under water that actually had pressure. Cried until the tears mixed with steam and I couldn't tell them apart anymore. When I came out, wrapped in a towel softer than anything I had ever owned, there was food on the bedside table. Bread. Fresh fruit. A note beside it in neat handwriting. Eat. Rest. Tomorrow I'll show you why you were never safe. I woke up to sunlight. Real sunlight. Not the gray filter through basement windows. Actual golden morning light. For 3 seconds I forgot where I was. Then the memory crashed back. Alessandro Kane. Protection. 3 days. Someone had left fresh clothes folded on the chair. Jeans that fit. Soft sweater. Socks without holes. I dressed slowly. My body aching from sleeping on a mattress that didn't have springs poking through. The apartment was quiet when I stepped out. Helena was in the kitchen making coffee that smelled like heaven. Good morning, she said. How did you sleep? Like the dead. I paused at my own words. Sorry. Bad expression. She laughed. She did. Mr. Kane is in his office. He asked that you join him when you're ready. But eat first. You're too thin. She handed me a plate. Toast. Bacon. Real food. Not expired. Not donated. Just a normal breakfast that felt like luxury. I ate at the counter. Helena moved around the kitchen with practiced efficiency. She hummed while she worked. It was the most normal thing I had experienced in months. How long have you worked for him? I asked. 15 years. Since Isabella was born. What's she like? His daughter. Helena's face transformed. Pure warmth. Smart. Stubborn. Kind despite everything she's seen. She looks like her mother. Past tense. Caught that. Looked like her mother. Not looks like. Is she? Isabella's mother died in childbirth. Helena's voice went quiet. Mr. Kane raised her alone. Built his empire around protecting her. She's 16 now. Away at boarding school. I set down my fork. 16. That meant Isabella was 12 when I met her on that subway platform. Not 11 like I thought. Old enough to remember. Old enough to be scared. Does she know I'm here? Not yet. Mr. Kane wanted to make sure you'd stay first. I finished eating. Thanked Helena. She pointed me down the hallway to the office. The door was already open. Alessandro sat at a desk covered in papers and photographs. He looked up when I entered. His suit was different. Still expensive. But he looked like he hadn't slept. Good morning, he said. Is it? I stayed in the doorway. That depends on how you handle the truth. He gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. Please. Sat. The chair was leather. Too comfortable. Like everything else here. Alessandro opened a file folder. Slid it across the desk. This is you, he said. Opened it. Felt my stomach drop. Photographs. Dozens of them. Me leaving my apartment. Me at the bus station. Me at work at the warehouse. Me buying day-old bread at the corner store. You've been following me. I've been documenting the pattern. He pulled out another photograph. This man. Recognize him. I looked. Felt cold spread through my chest. The man from the convenience store. The one who had followed me. His name is Patrick Hughes. Registered sex offender. 3 convictions. 4 women reported him stalking them. The police did nothing. Another photo. Different man. Same predatory look. Michael Torres. 2 assault charges. Both were dismissed. 1 victim was hospitalized. Another. 6 men total. All watching me at different times. All documented. How did you? I have people. Alessandro's voice was flat. They watched these men watching you. Trevor Walsh wasn't random. You weren't unlucky. You were being hunted. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the desk. Why me? Because you're vulnerable. Lone. No family. No support system. No one to notice if you disappeared. He pulled out 1 more photograph. Me. Sleeping on a bench. They look for women like you. Isolated. Desperate. Easy targets. I wanted to throw up. Alessandro leaned back. You've been living in danger for months. Years probably. You just didn't know it because you were too busy trying to survive. I stared at those photographs spread across the desk. My life was reduced to surveillance shots. My vulnerability. Documented in glossy paper. How long? My voice sounded hollow. How long have these men been watching me? Alessandro pulled out a timeline. Actual dates. Written in neat handwriting. Patrick Hughes, 3 months. He noticed you first. Followed you from the warehouse where you work. Michael Torres, 6 weeks. He saw you at the laundromat. The others joined gradually. They were patient. Patient. I repeated the word. Tasted like poison. This is what they do. They select targets. They watch routines. They wait for the right moment. Trevor Walsh at the bus station last night. That wasn't impulse. That was the culmination of weeks of surveillance. Pushed away from the desk. Walked to the window. The city stretched out below. All those buildings. All those people. How many of them were being watched right now? How many were targets and didn't know it? You're lying, I said. You're trying to scare me into staying. I'm trying to keep you alive. I spun around. By doing the same thing they did. By watching me. Following me. Taking pictures without my consent. Yes. No hesitation. No apology. Because the alternative was waiting until one of them succeeded. Was finding your body in a dumpster 3 weeks from now. Was explaining to my daughter that I found the woman who saved her life too late. His voice cracked on that last word. Just slightly. Enough that I heard the fear underneath. I sank back into the chair. My hands were shaking. What do you want from me? I whispered. I want you to stay here where I can protect you. I want you to let me handle these men. I want you to stop sleeping on benches and skipping meals and pretending you're invisible. And then what? I just live here. In your apartment. Like some kind of guest. The word was sharp. You're a guest. Not a prisoner. Not a possession. A guest. Guests can leave. You can leave right now if you want. Take the money. Go anywhere. But I'm telling you that the moment you walk out that door, you're being hunted again. I looked at those photographs. At the men who had been watching me. Waiting for their chance. Alessandro stood up. Walked around the desk. Crouched down beside my chair so we were eye level. I'm not a good man, he said. I've done things that would make you run screaming. But I protect what's mine. And you became mine 4 years ago when you put yourself between my daughter and danger. I'm not yours. No, you're not. He stood. But you're under my protection whether you accept it or not. I failed to find you for 4 years. I won't fail to keep you safe now. There was a knock at the door. Helena appeared with a tray. Pastries. She set it down and left without a word. Alessandro poured 2 cups. Handed me one. 3 days, he said. That was the deal. It's been 1 day. Give me 2 more to show you that this isn't a prison. That I'm not your enemy. I held the tea. It was perfect. Exactly how I liked it. He had noticed that too. What else had he noticed about me? What happens after 3 days? You choose. Leave. Whatever you decide, I'll respect it. He paused. But I'm asking you to stay. Not for me. For Isabella. She deserves to thank you. To know that someone cared about her when everyone else looked away. That hit harder than anything else. 'Cause I understood it. Being invisible. Being alone. Being the person everyone ignored until you were convenient or threatened. I'll stay for 3 days, I said. But after that I decide. Fair enough. He walked to a safe hidden behind a painting. Opened it. Pulled out a phone. Brand new. Still in the box. This is for you. Already activated. My number. Helena's number. Emergency services. Use it. Took the phone. Held it like something fragile. What happened to the men? Asked. The ones in the photos. Alessandro's expression went cold. They won't bother you again. Did you kill them? No. He turned back to his desk. I did something worse. I made sure everyone in their lives knows exactly what they are. I spent the rest of the morning alone in my room. The phone Alessandro gave me sat on the bedside table, mocking me with its newness, with the idea that I mattered enough to have a way to call for help. I picked it up eventually. Scrolled through the contacts. Only 3 numbers. Alessandro Kane. Helena. Emergency services. A text message appeared. From Alessandro. Lunch is at 1. No obligation to join. But you should eat. I typed back. I'm not hungry. His response came immediately. Lie. I threw the phone on the bed. Paced the room. Looked out the window at the city. Thought about those men. About being hunted. About 4 years of thinking I was just unlucky when I was actually being stalked. Another text. Helena made carbonara. Your favorite. Froze. How did he know that? Another message. You ordered it twice a month at the Italian place on 5th Street. Before they closed. Before you couldn't afford restaurants anymore. My hands shook. He had been watching me that long. Knew my routines. My favorites. My life before everything fell apart. I should have been terrified. Should have run. But instead I felt something stranger. Something I hadn't felt in years. Someone had noticed me. Not as a target. Not as something to use. Just as a person. With preferences. With patterns. With a life that mattered. At 1 o'clock I walked to the dining room. Alessandro was already there. So was someone else. A man about his age. Black suit. Watchful eyes. "This is Marcus," Alessandro said. "Head of security." Marcus nodded. Didn't smile. "Ma'am. I asked him to join us," Alessandro continued. "So you can hear the security measures directly." We sat. Helena brought food. Real carbonara. Perfect. I tried not to react to how good it tasted. Marcus pulled out a tablet. Showed me a screen filled with camera feeds. "The building has 347 cameras," he said. "Every entrance. Every exit. Every floor. The elevator to this penthouse requires biometric authentication. The windows are bulletproof. The doors are reinforced steel." He swiped to another screen. A map of the city with dots scattered across it. "We have teams positioned at all major transit hubs, bus stations, train stations, anywhere you might have been vulnerable. Each team has your photo. Orders to alert us immediately if anyone matching the profile of your stalkers appears." I set down my fork. "How many people are watching for me?" 47 on rotation. Plus aerial surveillance when you leave the building. "I haven't left the building." "When you choose to leave," Marcus corrected. "If you choose to leave." Alessandro was quiet. Just eating. Letting Marcus explain. "What about Isabella?" "Yes. Your daughter. Where is she?" Alessandro looked up. "Switzerland. Boarding school. Protected campus. 6 of my men are on site at all times." "Does she know about me?" "Not yet." He set down his silverware. "I wanted to make sure you'd stay before I told her. She's been through enough disappointment." Something about the way he said it made my chest ache. "What about her mother?" The words came out before I could stop them. "Helena said she died. But there's no photos. No mention of her anywhere." The temperature in the room dropped. Marcus looked at Alessandro. Some silent communication passed between them. "Her name was Sophia," Alessandro said finally. "She died 16 years ago. Complications during childbirth. The doctors chose to save Isabella." His voice went flat. "I never got to choose." He stood up, walked to the window. His reflection ghosted against the glass. "I loved her," he said. "More than I thought I could love anyone. When she died, I thought I died too. Then they handed me Isabella. This tiny thing. Screaming. Alive. And I realized I had to become someone who could keep her safe in a world that had taken everything else from me. I didn't know what to say. What could anyone say to that? Isabella looks like her, he continued. Same eyes. Smile. Sometimes I can barely stand to look at her because it hurts so much. And sometimes she's the only thing that makes sense. He turned back to me. That's why what you did matters. Why you matter. You saved the only piece of Sophia I have left. After lunch I went back to my room. Tried to process everything. Failed. A soft knock on the door interrupted my spiraling thoughts. Come in. Helena entered carrying a box. These just arrived. Mr. Kane thought you might need them. She set the box on the bed. Opened it. Not new ones. Used paperbacks with creased spines. Mystery novels. The kind I used to check out from the library before I couldn't afford the late fees. Pulled one out. Saw my name written inside the front cover in my own handwriting. These are mine, I whispered. From my apartment. How did he? He bought the building, Helena said quietly. Your old building. Last week. Had your belongings moved into storage. Everything's safe. I sat down hard. He bought my building. The landlord was planning to evict everyone and tear it down. Mr. Kane made him an offer. Let the tenants stay with reduced rent. Your things were removed before the renovations started. My head spun. Why would he do that? Helena smiled. Because you lived there. 'Cause keeping you safe means making sure you have something to come back to. If you choose to leave. She left before I could respond. I looked at the books. My books. The only things I owned that meant anything. He had saved them. saved the other tenants, bought an entire building just to protect the place where I had lived. This wasn't normal. This was an obsession, or guilt, or something I didn't have words for. My phone buzzed. Alessandro. The library is down the hall. Second door on the left. If you want somewhere quiet. I found myself walking to the library before deciding to. It was exactly what you'd imagine. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, leather chairs, lamps with warm light. Alessandro sat in one of the chairs, reading. He looked up when I entered. You collected my books, I said. I collected your life. The books were just the easiest part. I sat in the chair across from him. Why? Because you gave up 4 years of your life trying to survive, and I wanted you to know that someone noticed. That it mattered. That you mattered. I'm nobody. You're the woman who saved my daughter. That makes you somebody to me. We sat in silence. Him reading. Me pretending to read. Both of us are aware of the weight between us. Tell me about her, I said finally. Isabella. Tell me what happened after that day. Alessandro closed his book. She had nightmares for months. Wouldn't take the subway. Wouldn't go anywhere alone. I pulled her out of school. Hired private tutors. Built walls around her life until she couldn't breathe. He paused. Looked at his hands. Then one day she asked me why I was keeping her prisoner. Said the man on the subway platform tried to take her freedom, and now I was finishing the job. She was 13. What did you do? I sent her to therapy. Real therapy. Not someone I paid to tell me what I wanted to hear. Someone who made her stronger. Who taught her that fear was normal but letting it control you wasn't. He looked at me. She asked about you. Every session. Wanted to know if I found you. If I thanked you. If you were okay. I lied for 4 years. Told her I was still looking. That I'd find you eventually. And now you have. And now I have. He stood. She's coming home in 2 days. Christmas break. She doesn't know you're here. But I'd like to tell her. If you'll stay. 2 days. Not 3. He was asking me to decide early. I need to think, I said. Of course. He walked to the door. Us. The men who were watching you. They're not the only predators in this city. Not even close. But they were the ones focused on you. And now they're gone. That doesn't mean you're safe if you leave. It just means you're safer than you were. He left me alone in the library. I sat there until the sun set. Until the room went dark and someone turned on the lamps. Until Helena came to tell me dinner was ready. I wasn't hungry. But I ate anyway. At a table with Alessandro and Marcus and Helena. Like we were a family. Like I belonged. That night I couldn't sleep. Too soft. Too quiet. Too safe. Got up. Wandered the apartment. Found Alessandro on the balcony. He stood at the railing looking out at the city. Smoking. I didn't know he smoked. Can't sleep? He asked without turning. It's too quiet. I know the feeling. I joined him at the railing. The wind was cold up here. 50 floors above the street. High enough that the cars looked like toys. I used to live near the highway, I said. The noise never stopped. Trucks all night. Police sirens. Shouting. After a while you don't notice. Becomes white noise. Here, it's so quiet I can hear my own heartbeat. Alessandro took a drag from his cigarette. Offered it to me. I shook my head. I grew up in apartments like the one you lived in, he said. Before all this. Before I built something out of nothing. I remember the noise. The way it felt like the world was trying to crush you from all sides. How did you escape? I didn't. I just built bigger walls. He stubbed out the cigarette. That's what all this is. Walls. Distance. Control. The illusion of safety. Illusion. There's no such thing as real safety. Not for people like us. We just find ways to survive until we can't anymore. I looked at him. People like us. People who know what it's like to be powerless. To be invisible. To watch the world step over you like you're trash. He turned to face me. The difference is I stopped accepting it. I made myself into something people couldn't ignore. Something people fear. Yes. And that's better. It kept my daughter alive. So yes. We stood in silence. The city breathed below us. Millions of people are sleeping, working, surviving. I need to ask you something, I said. And I need you to tell me the truth. All right. Did you kill anyone? To protect me? Alessandro didn't hesitate. No. But you would have. Yes. The honesty was brutal. No excuses. No softening. What did you do to them? The men who were watching me. I made sure their lives fell apart in ways they can't trace back to me. Lost jobs, failed background checks, criminal records that mysteriously appeared. Restraining orders from women they don't remember threatening. One of them is in jail. 2 left the state. The others are being watched every second of every day. If they look at another woman wrongly, they'll disappear permanently. And Trevor. From the bus station. Alessandro's expression went cold. He's alive. But he'll never use his hands the same way again. I should have been horrified. Should have run. But part of me felt satisfaction. Those men had hunted me. Stalked me. Planned to hurt me. And now they were broken. Erased. Thank you, I whispered. Alessandro looked surprised. For what? For caring enough to stop them. No one else ever has. He reached out, slowly, gave me time to pull away. His hand covered mine on the railing. Warm, solid. I failed you for 4 years, he said. I won't fail you again. The next morning Helena woke me early. Mr. Kane asked that you join him for breakfast. He has something to show you. I dressed quickly. Found Alessandro in the dining room with a laptop open. He looked like he hadn't slept. Again. Sit, he said. I want you to see something. Sat. He turned the laptop toward me. A video call opened. A girl's face appeared on screen. She was beautiful. Dark hair. Gray eyes like her father. 16 but still with that softness that hadn't been carved away yet. Isabella, Alessandro said. Say hello to the woman I told you about. Isabella's eyes went wide. You found her. You actually found her. I did. She leaned closer to the camera, studying my face. It's really you. From the subway. You're older but I remember your eyes. You looked at me like I mattered. My throat closed up. He nodded. Thank you, Isabella said. Tears in her voice. Thank you for not walking away. For not pretending you didn't see. For stopping him. I couldn't let him hurt you, I managed. Everyone else did. Everyone else just watched. But you didn't. You hit him with your purse. She laughed, crying and laughing. You hit him with your purse and you weren't even scared. I was terrified. You didn't show it. You just stood there like you were 10 feet tall. She wiped her eyes. I've been asking Dad to find you for 4 years. I thought maybe you were a guardian angel or something. That I imagined you because I needed someone to be there. I'm not an angel, I said. Just someone who was in the right place. No, you chose to be there. That's different. Isabella looked at her father. Dad, she's staying, right? You're not letting her leave. Alessandro looked at me. That's her choice. Not mine. Please stay, Isabella said to me. Just until I get home. I want to thank you in person. I want to show you I'm okay because of you. Please. I looked at this girl. This teenager who had been terrorized and traumatized, and who had spent 4 years wondering if her rescuer was real. Okay, I said. I'll stay until you get home. Isabella's face lit up. Really? You promise? I promise. We talked for an hour. Isabella told me about school. About her friends. About therapy. About slowly learning to be less afraid. She asked about me. About my life. I edited out the worst parts. Made it sound less desperate than it was. When the call ended, Alessandro closed the laptop. She likes you, he said. She doesn't know me. She knows enough. You saved her when no one else would. That's all she needs to know. Helena brought breakfast. I ate without tasting. My mind was elsewhere. On Isabella's face. On the way she looked at me like I was something special. You manipulated me, I said. Showing me your daughter. Making me promise to stay. Yes. No apology. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. But it's effective. I wanted to be angry. But I couldn't. 'Cause he was right. Seeing Isabella changed everything. Made this real. Made me realize that what I did mattered. Not just for that day. But for 4 years after. For always. When does she come home? Yes. Tomorrow night. Her flight arrives at 8. I need clothes. Real clothes. Not just the basics. Alessandro smiled. Actually smiled. Helena will take you shopping today. Whatever you need. No limit. I can't afford. You're not paying. Consider it a back payment for saving my daughter's life. You already gave me $10,000. That's for later. For if you leave. This is for now. For staying. I looked at him. You think of everything, don't you? I will try. Helena took me shopping. Not to normal stores. To places where they knew her name. Where they brought champagne while we looked at clothes. Where everything had a designer label and no price tag. Hated it. Every second. But I needed something to wear when I met Isabella. Something that said I was okay. That I had survived. That saving her hadn't destroyed me. We bought 3 outfits. Casual but nice. Helena paid with a black credit card that had Alessandro's name on it. He does this a lot. I asked on the way back. Does what? Takes care of people. Buys them things. Protect them. Helena was quiet for a moment. He protects what matters to him. And you matter to Isabella. So you matter to him. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I can give. Back at the apartment I tried on the new clothes. Looked at myself in the mirror. I looked normal. Almost whole. Like someone who belonged in this world. Alessandro knocked on my door that evening. Walk with me, he said. We went to the library. He handed me a photo album. Leather-bound. What's this? Sophia. My wife. I thought you should know who she was. Before tomorrow. Before Isabella arrives. And everything gets complicated. I opened the album. Saw a woman with kind eyes and Isabella's smile. Saw her pregnant. Saw her laughing. Saw her looking at Alessandro like he was her entire world. The last photo was of her holding a newborn. Exhausted but radiant. Alessandro stood beside the hospital bed. Looking at both of them like he couldn't believe they were real. This was 2 hours before she died, he said. Complications set in. Hemorrhaging. They tried everything. It wasn't enough. Closed the album. I'm sorry. Don't be. She gave me Isabella. That's more than I deserved. He took the album back. Held it like something precious. I'm telling you this because Isabella will talk about her mother tomorrow. Will ask if I've told you about her. And I want you to understand why this family is the way it is. Why I am the way I am. You don't owe me explanations. Yes, I do. You're part of this now. Whether you want to be or not. He left me alone. I sat in the library until dark. Thinking about Sophia. About Isabella. About Alessandro building walls around the only thing he had left of the woman he loved. That night at dinner, Alessandro was quiet. Distracted. Marcus joined us again. They spoke in low tones about security for tomorrow. About Isabella's arrival. About protocols. She can't know, Alessandro said. About the threats. About the men. She doesn't need that fear. Understood, Marcus said. I interrupted. She should know. She's 16. She deserves to know why you're being protective. Alessandro's jaw tightened. She's been through enough. And treating her like she's fragile will make it worse. Trust me. I know what it's like to be protected from the truth. Doesn't help. It just makes you feel like no one thinks you're strong enough. He stared at me. Long enough that Marcus cleared his throat and left. You think I'm wrong, Alessandro said. I think you're scared. And that's making you treat her like she's still 12. She is 12. In my head. She'll always be 12. Crying on a subway platform. Lone. Terrified. I stood up. Walked around the table. Sat next to him instead of across. But she's not, I said gently. She's 16. She's in therapy. She's getting stronger. And you're holding her back because you can't let go of that moment. Alessandro's hands clenched. I failed to protect her that day. No, I protected her that day. You protected her every day after. There's a difference. He looked at me. Really looked. When did you get so wise? When I had to survive long enough to see tomorrow. Isabella arrived at 8:30 the next evening. I heard the commotion from my room. Guards moving. Voices. The elevator opening. Then a girl's voice. Clear and bright. Where is she? Dad, where is she? I walked to the living room. Stopped in the doorway. Isabella stood in the center of the room. Taller than I expected. Beautiful in the way teenagers are when they haven't learned to doubt themselves yet. She saw me. Froze. It's really you, she whispered. Then she ran. Crossed the space between us. Threw her arms around me. Held on like I was the only solid thing in the world. I stood there. Son. My arms came up slowly. Hugged her back. This girl I barely knew. This girl whose life had intersected mine for 17 minutes 4 years ago. Thank you, she said into my shoulder. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I looked at Alessandro over her head. He stood by the window. Hands in his pockets. Watching us. His expression was something I couldn't name. Gratitude. Pain. Relief. All mixed together. Isabella pulled back. Wiped her eyes. Sorry. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. But seeing you here. Knowing you're real. That Dad found you. It's just a lot. It's okay, I said. It's a lot for me too. She laughed. Took my hand. Come on. I want to show you something. She pulled me to her room. It was exactly what you'd expect. Teenage girl's room. Posters. Book. Photos of friends. But on her desk was a drawing. Charcoal sketch. A woman standing between a girl and danger. The woman's face was unclear. Indistinct. But the posture was protective. Fierce. I drew this, Isabella said. 2 years ago. When I was trying to remember exactly what you looked like. I couldn't get the details right. But I got the feeling right. You were so brave. I wasn't brave. I was just there. Being there is brave. Everyone else walked away. You stayed. We talked for hours. Isabella told me everything. About the nightmares. About the therapy. About slowly learning to take the subway again. About making friends who didn't know what had happened. Dad wants to keep me safe, she said. But sometimes safety feels suffocating. Does that make sense? Complete sense. I know he loves me. I know he's scared. But I'm not a little girl anymore. I need to live. Not just survive. I thought about my conversation with Alessandro the night before. Have you told him that? 1,000,000 times. But he doesn't hear it. Or he hears it and ignores it because accepting it means accepting that I'm growing up. That eventually I won't need his protection. He needs to protect you. It's the only way he knows how to love. Isabella looked at me. You understand him. I understand being scared. Being alone. Building walls because it's easier than risking being hurt. Are you going to stay? The question came out fast. Desperate. Or are you going to leave when the 3 days are up? I didn't know how to answer. The 3 days were already over. I had promised to stay until Isabella arrived. She was here now. Could leave. But looking at this girl. Her hope. At the way she looked at me like I was something special. Couldn't. I'll stay a little longer, I said. A week passed. Then 2. Christmas came. Alessandro gave me gifts I didn't deserve. Book. Low. Laptop. Things that said stay without using words. Isabella and I grew close. She showed me her schoolwork. Her art. Her dreams of studying psychology so she could help people the way her therapist helped her. We baked cookies with Helena, watched movies, talked about everything and nothing. She felt like the little sister I never had. Alessandro watched us, always from a distance, like he was afraid if he got too close he'd ruin it. One night, 2 weeks after Christmas, I found him in the library again. Reading. Always reading. "Why do you stay away?" I asked. He looked up. "What?" "When Isabella and I are together, you leave the room." "Why?" He set down his book. "Because you're good for her. And I'm afraid if I interfere, I'll remind her of all the ways I've failed." "You haven't failed. I failed to find you for 4 years. Failed to protect her that day on the subway. Failed to give her a normal life." I sat down across from him. "You gave her a safe life. That's better than normal." "Is it?" "She's 16 and afraid of crowds. 16 and in therapy. 16 and can't take the subway without having a panic attack. She's 16 and alive. That's what matters." Alessandro ran his hands through his hair. "You make it sound simple." "It is simple. You love her. You protect her. She knows that. The rest is just details." He laughed. Bitter. "Just details. Like the fact that my world is violence and blood and moral compromise. Like the fact that eventually she'll realize what I am and hate me for it. She already knows what you are. She doesn't care. She just wants her father." "How do you know that?" "Because she told me. Last week. Said she knows you've done terrible things. Said she doesn't care because you've never been terrible to her." Alessandro still went. "She said that. She said she's more afraid of losing you than of knowing the truth about what you do." He stood up, walked to the window, his usual position, staring at the city like it held answers. "I'm not good enough for her," he said quietly. "None of us are good enough for the people we love. We just try our best and hope it's enough." I stood, walked over, stood beside him at the window. "She needs you to stop punishing yourself," I said. "To stop keeping her at a distance because you think you don't deserve her love. She's not asking for perfection. She's asking for presence." "And what are you asking for?" The question caught me off guard. "What?" "You've been here almost a month. You could leave any time. But you stay. Why? What do you want?" I didn't have an answer. Or I had too many answers. Safety. Family. Belonging. To matter to someone. To feel like my life had purpose beyond just surviving. "I don't know," I whispered. Alessandro turned to face me. Close enough that I could see the exhaustion in his eyes. The weight he carried. "I hope you figure it out," he said. "Because I don't want you to leave." The next day everything changed. Isabella wanted to go out. Shopping with friends. Normal teenage stuff. Alessandro said no immediately. "It's not safe," he said. "It's never safe," Isabella shot back. "That's not a reason to keep me prisoner." They argued. Loud. Helena and I stayed in the kitchen, pretending not to hear. "He's going to say yes," Helena said quietly. "How do you know?" "Because she's using the same tone her mother used. And he never could say no to Sophia." 20 minutes later, Alessandro appeared in the kitchen. Defeated. "She wants to go shopping," he said to me. "I'm sending 6 guards. But I want you to go too." "Me." "She trusts you. If something feels wrong, she'll tell you." "She won't tell my men." "Alessandro, I can't." "Please." The word cost him. "I'm asking. Not ordering. Please." I looked at Helena. She nodded. "Okay," I said. "I'll go." We left an hour later. Isabella. Me. 2 of her friends I just met. And 6 armed men trying to look casual in a shopping mall. Isabella was different away from the apartment. Lighter. Laughing. Normal. Her friends were nice. Accepting. They knew who her father was. What he did. They didn't care. We went into stores. Tried on clothes. Ate terrible food court pizza. It was the most normal afternoon I'd had in years. Then Isabella went quiet. We were in a clothing store. Her friends were in the dressing room. The guards were positioned at the entrances. Isabella stood by the window, staring out at them all. "What's wrong?" asked. "That man. By the fountain. He was at my school last month. I looked. Saw a man in his 30s. Normal clothes. Nothing threatening. But something about the way he stood. The way he watched the store." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. He was at the coffee shop across from campus. Sitting there for hours. I noticed because he never looked at his phone. Just watched people." My blood went cold. I texted Alessandro immediately. His response came in seconds. "Get her out. Guards are moving." I grabbed Isabella's hand. "We need to go. But now, trust me." Her friends emerged from the dressing room. I told them there was an emergency. We needed to leave. Isabella's guards closed around us immediately. Professional. Efficient. The man by the fountain moved. Started walking toward us. "Exit," one of the guards said into his collar. "North side. Vehicle ready." We walk fast. Not running. That would cause panic. But fast enough that people noticed. The man followed. He wasn't trying to hide it anymore. We made it to the parking garage. The SUV was already there, engine running. Another vehicle blocked the path behind us. Isabella was shaking. "What's happening?" "You're safe," I said. "Just get in." She got in. I got in beside her. The doors locked automatically. Through the window, I saw the man stopped by Alessandro's guards. Saw them push him against a wall. Saw them searching for him. Alessandro appeared. He must have been close. Waiting. He looked at the man. Said something I couldn't hear. The man's face went white. Then Alessandro walked to our vehicle. Got in. "Take us home," he said to the driver. We drove in silence. Isabella held my hand. Squeezed it so hard my fingers went numb. At the apartment, Alessandro carried Isabella to her room. She was crying. Helena followed with tea and blankets. I stood in the living room. Useless. Marcus appeared. The man's name is James Porter. Private investigator. Hired 2 weeks ago to track Isabella's movements. Hired by who? Asked. We're finding out. Alessandro came back. His expression was something I'd never seen before. Not cold. Volcanic. Rage contained by the thinnest margin. "This is why I don't let her out," he said. "This is why I build walls. Because the moment she steps outside, people like him appear." Alessandro. I should have listened to my instincts. Should have said no. Should have kept her here where she's safe. She can't live in a cage. She can't live at all if someone takes her. He walked away. Disappeared into his office. Slammed the door. I stood there, shaking, realizing how close we'd come to something terrible. Isabella didn't come out of her room for 2 days. Helena brought her meals. I sat outside her door sometimes, talking to her through the wood, reminding her she was safe. On the 3rd day she emerged. Ill. Quiet. "I want to meet him," she said to her father. Alessandro looked up from his laptop. "Who?" "The man. The investigator. I want to know who hired him." "Absolutely not. Dad." I said no. Isabella's jaw set. "Then I'll keep having nightmares. I'll keep being afraid. Because not knowing is worse than knowing." They stared at each other. Both stubborn. Both were terrified. "I'll go with her," I heard myself say. They both turned to look at me. "If you arrange it safely," I continued. "Controlled environment. Your guards. I'll go with Isabella. She needs to face this." Alessandro stood. "You have no idea what you're asking." "Yes, I do. I'm asking you to let your daughter be brave. To let her take back control." Isabella walked over to me. Stood beside me. United. Alessandro looked at us. At his daughter and the woman who saved her. Together. "Fine," he said. "But my way. My location. My rules." They brought James Porter to a warehouse Alessandro owned. Neutral territory. Secured. Isabella and I sat in a room separated by bulletproof glass. Porter sat on the other side. Alessandro and Marcus stood with us. Porter looked terrified. His face was bruised. Alessandro's men had clearly convinced him to talk. Isabella leaned forward, pressed her hand against the glass. "Who hired you?" she asked. Her voice didn't shake. Porter glanced at Alessandro. Alessandro nodded. "Patrick Morrison," Porter said. "Real estate developer. East Side Properties." Alessandro's expression went dark. "I know Morrison. Why does he care about me?" Isabella asked. "He doesn't. He cares about your father. About finding leverage. About..." Porter hesitated. "Say it," Alessandro commanded. "About revenge. Morrison's brother went to prison 3 years ago. On charges your father helped arrange. Morrison wants to hurt you the way you hurt him." Isabella sat back, processing. "He was going to take me," she said. Not a question. A statement. Porter nodded. Miserably. "I didn't know that's what he wanted. I thought it was just surveillance. When I realized, I was going to stop. I swear." "But you didn't," Alessandro said. Voice like ice. "You kept watching. Kept reporting. Kept helping a man plan to kidnap my daughter." "I'm sorry." "Your sorry means nothing." Alessandro turned to Isabella. "You wanted to face him. You have. Are you satisfied?" Isabella looked at Porter. At this weak man who had helped plan her abduction. At the fear in his eyes. "What happens to him now?" she asked. "That depends on what you want," Alessandro said. Isabella was quiet. Then, "I want him to understand what he almost did. I want him to know that I'm not just a target. I'm a person. A person he helped terrify." She stood, walked closer to the glass. "I have nightmares," she told Porter. "I can't take the subway. I flinch when men walk behind me. I've been in therapy for 4 years because of what one man tried to do to me. You were going to help another man finish the job." Porter started crying. "I didn't know." "Yes, you did. You knew enough. You just didn't care enough." She turned to her father. "Let him go." Alessandro stared at her. "What? Let him go. He's pathetic. Keeping him changes nothing. But letting him go, that shows Morrison I'm not afraid. That we're not afraid." "Isabella. Please, Dad. Trust me." Alessandro looked at me. He nodded. He turned to Marcus. "Release him. But I want surveillance on Morrison. 24/7. I want to know every breath he takes." Marcus nodded. Guards took Porter away. Isabella walked back to me. Sat down. Put her head on my shoulder. "I'm tired of being scared," she whispered. "I know. But I did it. I looked at him and I didn't fall apart. You were incredibly brave." Alessandro crouched in front of his daughter. Took her hands. "I'm sorry," he said. "For not finding him sooner. For letting him get close to you. For failing. You didn't fail. You protected me. You always protect me." She squeezed his hands. "But you have to let me learn to protect myself too." Morrison struck 3 days later. Not at Isabella. Me. I was leaving the apartment building with Helena. Going to the pharmacy for Isabella's prescriptions. Normal errand. 4 guards with us. The car pulled up fast. Doors opened. Men poured out. Helena screamed. The guards moved. Gunfire echoed off buildings. Someone grabbed me. I fought. I scratched. Did everything I could. Then a sharp pain in my neck. The world went fuzzy. Dark. I woke up in the basement. Concrete walls. Single light bulb. My hands zip-tied behind my back. Patrick Morrison stood in front of me. Mid-50s. Expensive suit. Eyes that held nothing but hate. "You're the woman who saved Isabella Kane," he said. 4 years ago. Subway platform. My investigator told me the story. I said nothing. My head pounded. Alessandro cares about you. His daughter cares about you. That makes you valuable. He pulled out a knife. Let's see how much you're worth. The door slammed open. Alessandro and 6 of his men burst in. Guns drawn. Step away from her, Alessandro said. Voice absolutely calm. Absolutely deadly. Morrison laughed. Pressed the knife to my throat. Or what? You'll shoot me. She dies first. No. She won't. Everything happened in seconds. Alessandro fired. The bullet caught Morrison's hand. The knife clattered away. Morrison screamed. Alessandro's men grabbed him. Dragged him back. Alessandro came to me. Cut my zip ties. His hands were shaking. Are you hurt? I don't think so. Did he cut you? No. You stopped him. He pulled me up. Held me against him for just a second. Then, get her out of here. Marcus appeared. Started leading me to the door. I looked back. Saw Alessandro standing over Morrison. Saw the rage in his eyes. The calculation. Don't kill him, I said. Alessandro looked at me. He tried to hurt you. I know. But killing him makes you the monster he thinks you are. And Isabella doesn't need that. For a long moment, I thought he wouldn't listen. Thought I'd hear a gunshot as we left. But we made it outside. Into the car. Wait. No gunshot came. Alessandro came home 3 hours later. Blood on his shirt. Exhaustion in every line of his body. Isabella ran to him. Is she okay? Where is she? She's fine. Stairs. Resting. Isabella looked at the blood. Is that hers? No. Is Morrison dead? Alessandro paused. No. I appeared at the top of the stairs. Bandaged but okay. Isabella ran up. Hugged me. I'm sorry, she sobbed. This is my fault. He took you because of me. No, I said firmly. He took me because he's evil. This isn't on you. Alessandro climbed the stairs slowly. Looked at us. Morrison is in custody, he said. Federal custody. Turns out he's been under investigation for fraud and racketeering for months. I just expedited his arrest. How? Isabella asked. By making sure the FBI found evidence they couldn't ignore. And by making sure Morrison understood that touching you or anyone connected to you means spending the rest of his life in a cell. You didn't kill him, I said. You asked me not to. And you listened. I listened. We stood there. The 3 of us. Exhausted. Tired. Alive. I think I need to lie down, I said. Alessandro helped me to my room. Sat on the edge of the bed while I lay down. I'm sorry, he said. This is exactly what I was trying to prevent. You can't prevent everything. I should have. Alessandro. You saved me. You stopped him. That's what matters. He was quiet. Then, I was terrified. When I got the call that you'd been taken, I thought I'd lost you. Why do I matter so much to you? Because you saved Isabella. Because you're good in a way I forgot existed. Because you look at me like I'm more than just a criminal. He stood up. Rest. Helena will bring you food. We'll talk more tomorrow. He left. I lay there. Processing. Morrison went to prison. The federal case against him was airtight. Alessandro made sure of it. Life slowly returned to something resembling normal. Isabella went back to school. I stayed in the apartment. Healed. 2 months after the kidnapping, Alessandro called me to his office. I want to offer you something, he said. Not as payment. Not as an obligation. As a choice. What? A job. Working with Helena. Managing the household. Coordinating security for Isabella. Being here. Being part of this. Alessandro. Hear me out. You'd have your own salary. Your own apartment in the building if you want privacy. Your own life. But you'd also have security. Safety. Family. Family. The word hung there. Why? Asked. Why do you want me to stay? Because Isabella needs you. Because you make this house feel less like a fortress. Because I trust you in a way I don't trust anyone else. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you risked your life for my daughter twice. I know you're strong and kind and honest. That's more than most people can say. Understood. Walked to the window. The city stretched out below. I never wanted this life, I said. Never wanted to be connected to your world. To violence and danger and moral compromise. I know. But I can't imagine leaving now. Can't imagine not seeing Isabella. Not being here. I turned back to him. I'll stay. But not as an employee. As a family. If you can accept that. Alessandro smiled. Actually smiled. I can accept that. Isabella graduated high school. I was there. Front row. Cheering louder than anyone. She went to college. Psychology like she planned. Called me every week. Came home for breaks. Alessandro and I found a rhythm. Not romantic. Not quite friendship. Something deeper. Understanding. Trust. He taught me about his world. The good and bad. The necessary compromises. The lines he wouldn't cross. I taught him about letting go. About trusting Isabella. About being present instead of protective. Helena retired. I took her place. Managing the household. Coordinating with security. Being the stable center of a chaotic world. Years passed. Isabella thrived. Alessandro's empire stabilized. Went more legitimate. But danger never fully left. Couldn't. That was the price of this life. 5 years after that day in the bus station, I sat on the balcony. Drinking coffee. Watching the sunrise. Alessandro joined me. Also drinking coffee. Also watching the light change. Do you regret it? He asked. Staying. Some days. When the danger feels too close. When I remember what normal used to feel like. But this is my family now. For better or worse. Isabella asked about you yesterday. Wanted to know if we were together. I laughed. What did you tell her? That is complicated. That's accurate. He looked at me. Is it complicated? Isn't it? I don't know anymore. You've been here 5 years. You've seen the worst of me. You haven't run. Where would I run to? This is home now. Home. He tested the word. Yes, I suppose it is. We sat in comfortable silence. The sun rose higher. The city woke up. Thank you, Alessandro said quietly. For what? For saving my daughter. For staying. For teaching me that protection doesn't have to mean isolation. You did that yourself. No, you showed me. I just followed. Isabella came home that weekend. 21 now. Confidence. Strong. Working at a crisis center helping trauma victims. I want to introduce you to someone, she said at dinner. Alessandro tensed immediately. Who? A friend. Someone I care about. Who cares about me? Is it serious? Maybe. I don't know yet. But I want you to meet him. She looked at me. Both of you. We met him the following week. Nice guy. Grad student. Psychology like Isabella. He was terrified of Alessandro. Smart kid. They dated for 2 years. Alessandro ran every background check imaginable. Found nothing concerning. When the guy proposed, Isabella said yes. Then called me first. Before telling her father. Will Dad be okay with this? She asked. He'll have to be. You're not asking permission. You're telling him. I'm still scared. Good. Fear means you know the stakes. But don't let fear stop you from living. She told Alessandro that night. He was quiet. Processing. Do you love him? He asked finally. Yes. Does he treat you well? Better than I thought possible. Then you have my blessing. Isabella cried. Hugged her father. Really? Really? I'm not losing you. I'm gaining someone else to protect. He smiled. And to drive crazy with security measures. The wedding was small. Family and close friends. Heavily secured but feeling normal. Isabella was radiant. Her husband was terrified and happy in equal measure. Alessandro walked her down the aisle. Cried. Actually cried. I sat in the front row. Watching this girl I'd saved 9 years ago become a woman. Become herself. At the reception, Isabella pulled me aside. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For everything. For saving me. For staying. For being the mother I never got to have." I couldn't speak. Just held her. "You changed everything," she said. "That day on the subway. You showed me that strangers can be heroes. That someone might care even when no one else does. That saved me in more ways than you know." "You saved me too," I managed. "I was invisible before you. Nobody. This family gave me purpose. You were never nobody. You just didn't know it yet." 10 years after the bus station, after everything changed, I stood in the penthouse, looking out at the city, Alessandro beside me. "Do you ever think about leaving?" he asked. "Sometimes, when things get dangerous. When I remember I could have had a normal life. But normal is overrated. This is real. Messy. Complicated. Dangerous. But real. No regrets. Only one. What? That it took so long to find where I belonged." Alessandro was quiet. Then, "I never thanked you properly. For saving Isabella. For staying. For becoming family. You thank me every day. By being here. By letting me be part of this." We stood in silence. The sun setting. The city lights beginning to glow. Isabella called. Video chat. Her baby daughter on her lap. 6 months old. Gray eyes like her grandfather. "Say hi to Grandpa and Aunt Sophie," Isabella cooed. Sophie. She'd named her daughter after me. After the woman who saved her mother's life. I couldn't stop the tears. "She's beautiful," I said. "She's strong," Isabella replied. "Like her namesake." We talked for an hour. About normal things. Family things. Then said goodnight. Alessandro and I stayed on the balcony, watching the city breathe. "The legend continues," I said softly. "What legend?" "The Mafia boss who protected a stranger. Who turned a 17-minute moment into a lifetime of family. You're not a stranger anymore." "No, I'm not." Somewhere in the city, someone was in danger. Someone was being hunted. Someone needed protecting. But here at this moment we were safe. We were family. We had enough. The protection wasn't perfect. The danger never fully left. But we had each other. And sometimes that was all that mattered.